Sorry about it literally is chapstick today. I usually put it on before I start the camera, and I forgot. And the last thing we need is me licking my lips the entire time because they're dry, right? Having an autoimmune that causes dry is interesting because, yeah, there are various strategies that you have to minimize the, discomfort and just appearance, you know? I was reading a thing where somebody was talking about being self-conscious about putting eye drops in. And then she realized that, like, the younger generation would just, you know, whip in the middle of a meeting, if they needed eye drops, so it's a generational thing. It's like, so we do all these things and we hide that we do all these things, and it's not necessary. Like, if you need to do something to make yourself more comfortable, you don't have to hide it. You don't have to hide. Just, you know, do it. You know, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. All right. So after that PSA, we're doing living the signs of mind. So let's do the housekeeping and get that out of the way. All that is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email. So what you do is you email info@creativelife.org. That gets you on the constant contact email, which you get one email a week. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month. The hot links are hot, and it is a blind CC. Nobody will see your email. So you're not going to get on anybody else's email because of us. So it is definitely worth doing. And like I said, you get one a week unless something unusual happens, because we do live in hurricane country. All right, so I think that's that. And then let's talk real briefly about the social medias, because you are watching this on a social media. We do not monetize our social medias. Okay? We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead is engage with our pages. Like, follow, subscribe based on which platform you're on. And the advantage of that is if you subscribe, then I think it notifies you when we go live or put up new videos or things like that. So it's worth having, right? And then the other thing is, with the posts, go like, share, and follow. Like, share, and comment. I'm trying to change my languaging here a little bit. Engage with the posts, because that bumps the posts into more people see our stuff. That's the goal here, right? All right. Okay. I think that's everything. Oh, no, I didn't tell you the platforms. Well, the only one we don't have is Twitter. We don't have X, and we have not done Blue Sky yet. So we are either Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. By the time we had talked about Twitter, it was already just this ugly morass, and I've said, absolutely not. I will not do that. I don't want to engage with that because it was already ugly. And then it just got worse. So we were like, yeah. So I was like, nope, we're not doing that. Okay. So, we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark, and I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I'm on. So, yeah, there we are. Okay. I occasionally get, emails or DMs from people going, hey, would you like to bump your... Not really. Personal on the running Rev Ryan. Not really. It's mostly a backup for Creative Life so that, I have other places where I can test stuff out. So, if I got to 1,000 followers, that would be great, but I'm happy to be at 102. Someday I may need more, because if Facebook raises the bar again. But here we are. Okay. And the irony is the article that we have today, or the essay we have today, is what are your dreams? Well, having, millions of followers on social media is not one of my dreams. Okay. I was putting these on, but just real quick, they came from the at-home course of Science of Mind. But my pet theory is that these are responses to questions that Ernest got. People went to Ernest and said, hey, explain this to me. Give me more information. Like, they read the textbook and then they have a follow-up question. So Ernest wrote essays and then put together a at-home course, which was 48 weeks. Like, they bound it, and I think it took six books to bind the 48 weeks. if you're interested in you can check out the Science of Mind archives and or Amazon, but then you'd need to know what you were looking for, right? But it's 48 at-home lessons for Science of Mind. Okay, so where was I? Oh, we were talking, okay, so let's get on to the essay, right? That's where we are. Okay. All right. And so, like I said, today is what is your dream? And it's not a long one. Not a long one. All right. What is your dream? Do you ever have a nightmare? Yes. Yes. I have nightmares on a regular basis. I'd like to know what's going on in my subconscious. Ugh. Do you ever have a nightmare? I once ran across a cartoon which showed the picture of a man sound asleep and apparently having a terrible dream in which he saw a gigantic figure at the foot of the bed leaning over him as though it were about to seize him. The man was nearly prostrated with fear and said to the phantom, "What are you going to do with me?" The phantom replied, "I don't know. What are you going to do with me? I am your dream, you know." And here's the thing. I am a lucid dreamer. I know that I'm dreaming, and if I don't like the way the dream is going, I simply make a different choice in the dream. I have taken some pretty ugly nightmares and changed them pretty quickly. It helps to know when you're dreaming. So, okay, let's go back to Ernest Holmes. I like to think you can teach yourself to lucid dream, but I'm not sure how, because it's just something that I do. But if you're interested in it, if you also have nightmares, you might Google it. How many phantoms we carry around with us in our imagination? How often do we have such morbid and unhappy thoughts that they actually appear as gigantic and menacing figures about to seize us in a death-like grip? And how seldom do we face those fears and try to find out exactly what they are and where they come from? What a shock and what a surprise it is to us when we realize that we are the ones having the dream. We are the ones who are creating the phantom and, in a certain sense, running away from the shadow of our own fears. So here's where I'm going to, what Jesse likes to say is when we have stuff like that happen, what we want to do is sit down and have a conversation with it, which is, I'm betting about what Ernest is about to suggest, right? What then are our dreams? Are we dreaming of success or failure, of happiness or misery, of sickness or health? For our dreams are mental patterns that can lead us into a fuller and richer life, or can create phantom monsters that make our lives a nightmare, whether we are asleep or awake. Every person is the dreamer of their own dreams, and within each is the spiritual power to choose the patterns that they wish to experience in life. Psychosomatic medicine has been developed to help people get rid of the monster phantoms that come up out of their minds, of their own minds. For what is a neurosis other than a group of mental images that arise to disturb the mind? Take the case of a person who feels that no one likes them. Just think of the monsters that they create in their own mind through their feelings of being rejected. They look at their fellow people and imagine that they do not like the way they wear their clothes, the way that they talk. They feel that they are criticizing them in their own minds. At which point, here I'm going to point out to you, people think about you a lot less than you think that they do. It's like they're busy with their own minds. They're busy probably worrying that you're criticizing them. You know, so yeah. Okay. The fact that their own morbid dreams are putting negative ideas into the minds of everyone they meet, for there is a mental contact we have with others that registers in them. They begin to shrink from life, and instead of throwing back their shoulders and facing life openly and squarely, they begin to round their shoulders, close in on themselves. The passing world looks at them and says, "Here is a person who is defeated and miserable." Body language is really important. So, it matters what's going on inside of us because it matters the way we carry ourselves in the world. It does. Like they say that it's either 80 or 90% of communication is nonverbal. The dreamer who feels that they are unliked is so blinded by the monsters of their own mind that they do not realize that everyone around them is simply responding to the way that they feel, that the person feels. They do not know that the phantom of hostility which they encounter is in their own mind is actually following the dictates of their own thoughts. One of the interesting things that we learn in Science of Mind is that the very thought patterns we create, in a certain sense, gradually obsess us. They can reach a point where we become hypnotized by them and we go around in a dream state, imagining that everything and everyone is against us. The unfortunate thing about this is that the dream is real enough to the one who has it. The person who was asleep and having the nightmare, which nearly paralyzed them with fright, awoke in the morning and was greatly relieved to know that there was no ominous form threatening their safety. They were relieved to find out it was only a dream. And so it is with most of our troubles. They are real enough to us while we are having them. It's like I always go back to that quote. The danger is real, but fear is a choice. But there is another part of us that was never caught in this dream. And just as the person who saw the gigantic figure at the foot of their bed finally woke up to the realization of its unreality, so there is some part of us that can awake to the unreality of most of the things that bother us. The very fact that one can rouse a person who is experiencing a nightmare shows that there is something about them that is superior to the experience that they are having. Okay, so hopefully what he's about to suggest is that we go to that secret place of the Most High within ourselves. We'll see. We still got a page and a half to go. One of our most common dreams is that we are unhappy, that nothing ever works out right for us, that people do not like us, that life is against us, and that nothing good is ever going to happen. And because there is a law of mind which operates on our thoughts, we begin to create situations that look like our dreams. And in reality, they are our dreams. Then we bow down before them in fear and feel that we are victims of a fate beyond our control. Okay, just a minor note here. What we don't want to do is get into victim blaming. What the word just popped right out of my head. Spiritual bypassing. Because we are in relationship with other people, some of the troubles that do walk into our lives are not of our own making. And so we don't want to blame. We never want to step into a situation, especially as a practitioner. We never want to step into a situation of blaming the victim for creating the situation they are in. That's a very fine line to walk, and don't do it to yourself. Okay. It's always a good idea to go back and look at your patterns and go, okay, well, where am I making choices that might be leading in this direction, and change those, but don't blame yourself. Okay. Look at it as information. Okay. Just sometimes signs of mind, New Thought can get into that. And it's like, oh, well, what did you do to create that situation? You know what? That's not helpful to anybody. Okay. And that is not what Ernest is doing here. Okay. Just want to make that clear. All right. A parable is told of an angel who came to visit Earth. The angel found themselves in an unusual stream of human activities, and they listened to the conversations of people. For the first time, they heard negative comments. Someone who was supposed to be an authority said that there might be a war and human life would be destroyed. And the angel read in the newspaper of a great epidemic of illness. And someone who certainly should have known, who should have explained in great detail the financial hardships that are certain to limit all of us. The angel heard that there was not enough good to go around, and the world was not going to be able to produce enough food for everyone, and people were going to starve to death. The angel began to wonder if these things might not be true, and even as they entertained the thoughts of negation to what they were listening to, the brightness of the angelic presence faded into dark shadows. Their forms seemed to shrivel, and looking at itself, the angel saw that they were dressed as a human being, walking the earth in fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Wow. And so the weary years went by, years of unhappiness and impoverishment and dread, years so filled with anxiety that the angel wished that it was dead, that some oblivion might forever swallow it up. And yet, even in the midst of all of this, something within the angel remembered that it was once an angel of God, living in a heaven of beauty, a place of peace and joy, living in a Garden of Eden, which God had provided for the angel. And remembering, a determination arose within them that somehow or other to find their way back to this lost paradise. This determination grew into a great hope, and as hope was renewed, a light seemed to shine in the distance, and they seemed to have the courage to travel towards the light, and gradually a miracle took place. As they traveled towards the light, they found that the shadows were being cast behind them, until finally they so completely entered into the light that no shadows were cast at all, and they realized that they had been asleep, that the angel had had a bad dream from which it was awakening. To what extent are we all dreaming, and in our dreams seeing the monsters with terrible forms that we have unconsciously built up in our own minds? We too are asking these forms, what are you going to do with me? What terrible future do you have in store? What awful experiences are to come now? Perhaps we are still asleep and have not had quite the courage to ask these phantom forms what they are going to do with us, or to listen to the only reply they can make. There is nothing we can do to you. What are you going to do with us? We are your own creations, you know. St. Paul said, it is high time to awake out of sleep. So let us wake up, and let us be certain that we no longer drug ourselves with the sleeping potion of fear and uncertainty and doubt, but awake into faith and confidence, into peace and joy, into love and happiness. For there is something in us too, like the angel in the fable, that has never forgotten. There is a silent witness at the center of every person's being, which evermore proclaim with the great and beautiful Jesus, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. See, now this is one where I think he should have ended it with like a treatment or a meditation, or, because that's what you do. That's what you do. When you find yourself caught up in these patterns, well, what do? You treat. You go into that place where nothing has ever been wrong, and you look around and you go, all right, so what of this can I carry back into my waking life? What of this can I carry back into the material realm and make changes? That is the point of regular spiritual practice. Because Jesse does talk on a somewhat regular basis when we are dealing with these patterns, when we are dealing with these emotions, when we are dealing with these forms. It's like, all right, let's sit down and have a conversation. Like, what is it that you represent? What is it that you want? Like, we don't think the ego is a bad thing. The ego has one job. The ego's job is to keep you alive. The problem is that the ego will do that at the expense of other things and other people. So you always want to make sure that the ego is never in the driver's seat. It's like, okay, you can sit in the passenger seat, except you don't get to control the music. So maybe we should put the ego in the back seat and let it be in charge of snacks, right? Because that's a good thing to keep us alive, snacks. And that's why one of the tools in the practitioner toolbox is when people come in and they're caught up in these cycles, in these patterns. It's like, well, let's find a time when you didn't feel like that. Let's find a time when you felt the way you want to feel now. And let's go there. because then you know you've done it before and you know you can do it again. And sometimes if you can't, then we'll find an example that you can hold on to until you're ready to hold it for yourself. So, yeah. All right, Ernest. This one, incomplete. Give him a check mark and go, there should be a treatment here. A treatment reminding us that we are beloved expressions of the divine. So when we get caught up in, and of course, I'm going to go back to the statement that people think about themselves far more than they think about you. So, whatever people are thinking rarely has anything to do with you. Wear what you want, do what you want, think what you want, eat what you want. Don't worry about other people. Because in the end, it's between you and spirit. So live your life and go. And thank you, Connie, for hanging out with me this morning. All right. So, like I said, regular spiritual practice. But I'm going to move on into the process of my day. But here's one of my spiritual practices. It's where I encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. A take care of yourself day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a tell somebody that you love them day, a look in the mirror and see God looking back at you, a look in the mirror and see the angelic light coming from you. Like, let's practice that for a little while. Go see the angelic light around us. Yes. Be with your community day, a do something fun for yourself day, and eat something that tastes really good day. And if it's healthy, that's great too. But, just eat something that tastes good. A drink plenty of water day, a stay out of direct sunlight day. It's supposed to be 98 here. A wear your sunscreen if you're going to be outdoors day. Listen to some great music day, which it's Sunday, so I'm going to do that, at CLC. I think I'm out of adjectives day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, because occasionally it is, I do understand. Simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark, spirit in motion, God in action, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to remind us, you are a godling. All right, beloveds. Whew. So, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9 tomorrow. But before that, we will have an amazing service for you right here in an hour and 45 minutes. Or if you're watching this after 11, scroll up a video. All right, beloveds, take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will see you next time.